Elk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Carolyn Van Drunen, and I'm counsel for the prosecution. It is my responsibility to call witnesses to the witness stand and to have them present their testimony, their evidence, in support of the charge of theft that has been brought against the accused, Richard Maloney. You have already heard the charge read out to him at the beginning of the trial today, and the judge will instruct you later on about the specific elements of the offense that the prosecution must prove. But for now, please note that under the laws of our country and of our state, Mr. Maloney is presumed to be innocent, considered to be innocent, throughout the trial, unless and until he is found guilty beyond reasonable doubt. And that is your job as the jury, as the triers of fact, to decide whether or not Richard Maloney is guilty. But please also know, and make no mistake about this, I intend to present evidence at this trial that will, in my submission to you, leave you in no doubt that Richard Maloney is guilty of the offense of theft for which he is charged. I will now take the opportunity of giving you an outline of the prosecution case, the witnesses whom I intend to call, and a brief summary of the testimony that they will give. Think of my outline as a roadmap that you will have in front of you for the rest of this jury trial. It's intended to prepare you for the next few days so that you can keep track of the witnesses that I'll be calling. It will guide you from point A, the first witness who will testify about the loss of her wallet, all the way through to point B, when the prosecution has completed calling its witnesses. The first stop on this jury trial journey will be to hear from Flora Reynolds. Miss Reynolds is the person who will testify about the loss of her wallet on the 14th of July of last year. The second stop on our journey is to hear from Gerard McLeod. Mr. McLeod, you will hear, was the security officer employed by the company that provides security services to the Victor Harbor Plaza Shopping Center. I anticipate that his stop on the trial journey will be a rather lengthy one, as he does have a lot of evidence to give. The next stop will be to hear from the victim's friend, Mary Hallows. You will hear that she witnessed a man in a raincoat run past her at the entrance of the shopping center, what he had with him and what he did with it. You will also hear from a forensic expert by the name of Jackie Francis. Now, it may be that when you hear the term forensic expert, you may hope that there's going to be some complicated forensic investigation like you would see on CSI. But I'm sorry to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that that's not going to be the case. I anticipate that she will simply say that she obtained a fingerprint from the stolen wallet, ran it through the system, and that Richard Maloney's identity came out as a result. The last stop on the trial journey for the prosecution is to hear from Sergeant Michael McNulty, the police officer that was called to the scene of the alleged crime on that day. He spoke to the security guard, he spoke to the victim, and he spoke to the victim's friend about what they had witnessed that day. He will also give details of events leading up to the arrest of the accused, Richard Maloney, for theft. Members of the jury, those are all of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call. You will have noted on the roadmap that there was no stop to hear from a witness who actually saw the theft happen. No witness who actually saw Richard Maloney steal the wallet. The prosecution has no such witness. This is a case where the identity of Richard Maloney, as the person who committed the theft, will be proved by circumstantial evidence rather than by direct evidence. His Honor, the judge, will instruct you on the law of circumstantial evidence. My submission to you will be that when you consider all of the evidence presented at this trial, you will conclude that all of the circumstances lead to the conclusion, and only one conclusion, and that is that Richard Maloney was the person who stole Flora Reynolds' wallet. You will be unable to draw any other conclusion from the evidence today. Your Honor, I'm now ready to call my first witness.
All right, shall I go first? Caroline, that was pretty good. You began very well, in fact in classic style, by explaining what your role was, you also mentioned at a very early stage in the piece the burden and standard of proof, which I think is a good thing for a prosecutor to do at the beginning. You tempered that by saying that, by effectively saying that you're not here to apologise for prosecuting this poor man, but that's your job and that's what we're going to be doing. Just one thing, some prosecutors have a preference for delivering an opening that mentions the evidence of each individual witness. I confess that I wasn't one of those, but whether you're of that camp or not, I think it's probably wise in the first instance to give the prosecution, to give the jury an overview of the case, rather than launch into what the witnesses are going to say. And the overview of your case is that, our case, members of the jury, is that this accused went into this particular shop, he saw this particular trolley, and he took the wallet out of it. He's that man. He then took whatever it was, the subject of the theft, out of it, and he dumped it in a bin outside the shopping centre. And the best evidence that we have, members of the jury, of that is that his fingerprint was on this particular wallet, and there is simply no explanation consistent with innocence, we say, that is available to the accused. And then you can launch into what evidence you've got. But you need to sort of give a bit of an overview of what the case is. Yeah. Okay, that's all.
That was certainly the comment which I was going to make. I liked your roadmap idea. I thought that was good. I was a bit concerned when you told the jury that the judge would instruct them about the elements of the
Well, that's
offence.
because I had all that written, and then the guy before was like, make it short, make it short. So that's how I got around it, because I didn't want to run out of time.
But where I'm getting to is that phrase, elements of the offence. That will mean a lot to the lawyer. I don't know that it will mean an awful lot to the jury.
Okay.
I prefer you to be saying that the judge will tell you what you have to decide in order to find the accused guilty. That's really what you're saying when you talk about the evidence. But I stay away from
Just
that.
take that word out. Okay.
The other thing is, and I'll look to the criminal lawyers to tell me whether I'm right or wrong with it. I don't think good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is really quite the way to begin. I think the more conventional way, and probably the safer way, is simply to say, please the court, and I please your honour, and I please you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I don't think you greet the jury with sort of good morning, good afternoon, or good evening at the end of the day, and see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Tell me whether that's in fact on the money or whether I'm out of date.
There's a judge in the district court here who has been greeted by counsel at an arraignment, and he's told them off. This is not a place for pleasantries. Just get on with it.
Okay.
So it's not a. It's
that
not
could
a.
be my Canadianness.
And that person came back with, "I'm sorry, pleasantry is just inbred in them, so they had to go back, don't worry."
Yeah.
But, in the ordinary
Just be
course of
courteous. You
events.
don't need to
Yeah.
bother.
you don't greet the judge, you don't greet the jury.
The rudest retort I ever heard from a judge when a good morning was said to him was, do I know you? Which I think is a height of rudeness, but put it this way, that counsel never did.
All these ones that you get burned in front of the judge, they're the ones that always stick with you.
Some judges don't mind, actually.
There was a time several years ago when the magistrates court sent out some edict to the profession to say that you were not to do this. Well, I rarely appeared in the magistrates court, but I had to do it a day or two later. And the magistrate was a man I knew well, and I had a different sort of association with the magistrate and council. And he told me through, I was saying, "Good morning, Mr. McGarry." I didn't know what to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you
Just
try to
avoid
carry
it
in your
and
mind
there
that,
won't be a problem.
so,
If you just don't say it, then
yeah,
there won't be a
Yeah.
problem.
may it please the court, is the replacement for, hello, g'day, there you go, good morning.
Okay.
I'll be back tomorrow. May it please the court, or may it, if you want to please it, it's a terribly useful phrase to have sort of built into your armour. It's much better than saying and and so on. It gives you a half a moment to think, and it covers a multitude of sins. It's the conventional beginning
Okay.
for any form of address, and commonly used as the sort of ending up of it. You know, in the film they might write the end, the way council do it, and say, "That was the court."
On the whole, really good, really good. It was almost, I know you cut down the bit about the elements and stuff. Prosecution do use that word elements, but they usually say something like, every offence has elements or
And I had all
ingredients that
and
must
I
be
went
proved.
through the whole chart.
Yeah, and I
But
suspect
then I just, yeah.
you've chopped it down. So they do use that word, but it's explained at the time.
Okay.
Okay, and there's always that rider that's put in first that, you know, if I say something about the law and
I had
Zona
that
corrects me, I'm sure you had that too.
Yeah.
I suspect yours, and what I heard was almost exactly what I hear from junior prosecutors at the DPP. So
Okay.
what you did there was almost exactly what I would hear in the opening of a criminal trial in this court. Your presentation was very good, you spoke at the right speed, and I understood every word that came out of your mouth without any mumbling or anything like that. That was really good. Okay?
Now, guys, we've
Yeah.
been overshooting the mark. I think that we better cut people back to, we've got 4 years. You ready? Are you
Yep.
ready, Ryder?
Yes.
There you go.
Could you state your names for the jury?
My name is Sergeant Michael McNulty.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a police officer stationed at Victor Harbour Police Station
Were you working on the 14th of July?
of 2012.
Yes.
Yes, I was.
Did anything happen on that day that required your services?
Yes, I was informed of a theft at the Victor Harbour Shopping Plaza at around 11:30 in the morning, 11:15 in the morning.
And what did you do in relation to that information?
I went to the shopping plaza. I arrived there about 10 minutes later, and I attempted to locate the man who was supposed to be responsible for this purse snatching.
Before, just going back a moment, did you speak to anyone when you arrived?
Yes, I spoke to the security officer, Mr. Jared McLeod.
And as a result of speaking to him, you then conducted some investigations, as you mentioned?
Yes, Mr. McLeod gave me a description of the man, and I thought I might be able to locate him. But it was a busy day at the shopping center, so I couldn't.
And did you speak to anyone else while conducting your investigations?
I did. I spoke to Miss Flora Reynolds, and I spoke to Miss Mary Hallows.
So now let's move forward to later on in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Did you receive any calls relating to the theft?
Yes, this was later on in the day. I received a call from the victim in the matter, Miss Flora Reynolds. She said that her friend, Miss Mary Hallows, that was the other person I interviewed, remembered seeing a man leave the center and throw something into a bin.
So what did you do with that information?
Well, I went to see Miss Hallows just to confirm this information and maybe look at the bin. I took her with me to the shopping plaza, and she showed me the bin in question. It hadn't been emptied.
And was there anything in the bin?
Yes, I emptied the bin. I wore my gloves since I wanted to be careful. And we located a pink and yellow striped wallet which had Paul Frank written on the left-hand corner.
And did you look inside the wallet?
Yes, I checked inside and there was only one coin and a driver's license. The license was in Miss Flora Reynolds' name.
And what did you do next?
I put it in the evidence bag and I sealed it. I then went to Miss Reynolds' house to confirm that it was her wallet.
And was she able to identify the wallet?
She was able to identify it, yes.
And what did you do with the wallet after you had spoken to Miss Reynolds?
Well, there have been a number of bag snatchings in the area, so I wanted to give this matter high priority. The commander of the South Coast asked me to prioritize this matter. So I drove down to the forensic section of the Adelaide police station and asked them to fast track it and get me the results on the same day.
And what sort of results were you submitting the wallet for?
I was submitting it for fingerprint analysis.
And did the prints come back?
Yeah, they came back positive.
And
Oh. Sorry, they came back positive for a guy named Rusty Malone.
and did you recognize that person's name?
Yeah, I did.
Had you had any contact with him in the past?
Yes, I did have contact with him in the past, yes.
And what sort of contact did you have in the past?
He was a known offender in the area.
When you realized that you recognized him, what did you do next?
Well, I immediately took a photo board with me while I was in Adelaide.
The defence counsel might be very upset because we had a ground of appeal.
I think the same comment as before in respect of the examination in chief of this witness, and I think it's a minimalist thing that would be required here. The information that various people give to this investigating officer is one thing, and that's all very well. That enables him to do his job, but as far as its admissibility in a court of law is concerned, it's doubtful. It's hearsay. You could argue that the description is in some ways relevant. That's McLeod's description, because he then goes and tries to find a person of that description. But you don't have to adduce the fact that McLeod tells him what the guy looked like to adduce evidence from this witness to the effect that he goes and looks for 175 centimetre tall man with black curly hair.
Avoid hearsay by just saying after you spoke to him, what did you do?
Yeah, that was the correct way of doing it. Yeah,
fine, right?
yeah.
Okay.
But as far as, for example, getting from this witness what other witnesses might have told him, such as Ms. Reynolds, sorry, not Ms. Reynolds, the other lady, about the wallet in the bin and so on and so forth. He probably, what he really to do is just to establish the fact that he speaks to Ms. Hallows.
So I just went into too much detail.
Sorry?
I just went into too much detail.
Yeah, well, in fact, the witness went into the detail, but you're in control of the witness.
Okay.
So you're probably doing something like this. Did you attend the residence of the Ms. Hallows?
Yes, I did.
And following your attendance at her address, did she go somewhere with you?
Yes, she did.
Where did you go?
We went to the Victor Harbour Shopping Plaza.
Right. Did Ms. Hallows show you anything at any location at that shopping centre?
Yes, she pointed out a bin to me.
Right. Did you look into that bin?
I did.
Was there anything in the bin?
There was a brown striped, pink and yellow striped wallet with Paul Frank on the left hand corners.
Was there anything else in the bin apart from the wallet?
There was a lot of trash in the bin.
All right. And then you go on from there. What did you take possession of the wallet? Yes. Was there anything in it? Yes. So you just adduce those basic facts from a police officer, I think, rather than going into too much detail about what the police officer was told specifically.
Yeah.
Because the
I
jury's going
just
to...
sort of thought those were sort of leading questions, like you're placing the witness in the situation that you want them to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's why I was leading up, so it wasn't leading.
Yeah. You
But
probably
if it's
don't need to... Yeah, you can do that without adducing all of that material that
Yeah,
people might object to.
okay.
Yeah, and anyway, the jury's going to infer, aren't they, that, you know, Hallows told this copper that there was this wallet in this bin. And Hallows has already told the jury that herself. Yeah, so,
No point in going on
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Would you introduce it like that? Would you say, and we've heard what Miss Hollows had to say about that interview?
No,
No?
No, the policeman won't have heard what Miss Hollows said.
Oh, yeah.
You are not going to hear what Miss Hollows said.
police officer's just there to tell the court what he did, what he found, and you can ask obviously little questions about background leading up to what he did, but there's a limit to how much you need to do. Yeah.
Just a quick question, I might have missed it. Trial of criminal dealings for prosecution,
Sorry?
like for, what's his name?
Prior bad conduct, Richard Maloney.
Maloney, yeah, he's,
He was a known offender in the area.
Yeah.
You know, you can't adduce that evidence.
okay.
Yeah, unless there is some very good reason for doing so that's been sanctioned in advance of you doing so by the court. If it's similar fact evidence or whatever, it's highly unlikely that you get it in this case.
But what about when she asked, have you had dealings with him?
Because I was
Yeah.
wanting to just get out that he's seen him mowing the lawns without
Oh, okay, I
what
thought.
he said
Yeah.
is right, so
Well,
I,
you
Oh.
that was my
Yeah.
problem.
Well, when you ask that,
That was the reason I was trying to avoid the question.
I know, I
Yeah,
can tell.
I thought.
when you ask that question,
It's open.
London to a brick,
Yeah,
you're going to get an answer that's going to be prejudicial.
okay.
So, I mean, you could approach it in this way. Have you seen the defendant in and around the Victor Harbour area prior to this investigation?
Yes, yes, I have.
Right. You'd want to be very careful because if the next question is, well, where have you seen him? Then he might say, in the local Nick.
Yeah.
So you'd want to be very careful about what you wanted to adduce from this witness and along those lines, I think.
You asked him as an opening question to try and get his mind to where you wanted him, which was a job at this shopping centre on that morning. He said, did anything happen on that day that required your services? And you got the answer yes, and just went on to the shopping centre. And I was there thinking to myself, my gosh, I hope that I, as a member of the community and paying the policeman, can do more than just go to the shopping centre on that.
Well, it is
particular day.
Victor Harbour and all that happens.
And
So
it's
maybe
July,
he
yeah.
just sat in his office all day. We don't know.
Fair enough. Well, yes, but of course, the crowd sometimes is busy, sometimes not. But anyway, where I wanted to get to is that you could have given him a more precise headline if you wanted.
Recording.
Okay. Miss Maloney, you said in your statement that you thought your husband was getting a lotto ticket from the post office when, according to him, he was getting a birthday card. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
When did he tell you that he was going to get you a birthday card?
Oh, well, it was later that I found out that he was buying me a birthday card later in the day.
So it was after the actual incident that occurred that we're all here for today.
Yes.
Is it possible that he was just telling you that he would have, sorry, was it possible that he was telling you that he was going to get a card so that he would have a reason for being at the post office that day?
Well, he gave me a card, and as far as I know, that's where he bought it from, so I have no reason to suspect.
But when he left the shopping centre and met you in the car park, you said in your statement that he had nothing in his hands.
Well, I mean, even though I didn't see anything, well, I mean, I didn't see anything, so I'm not sure, but I
So
wasn't really looking.
And you didn't receive the card until a few hours later, right?
Yes, that's right.
When your husband said that he was going to meet you at home and declined to drive home with you, you just assumed he was going to the pub. Is that correct?
Yeah, he usually does that on Saturday.
But in fact, he could have been doing any number of things, couldn't he?
Well, are you implying that he'd be cheating on me?
No, I'm not. He could have gone, for instance, with his newly acquired cash $350 to be exact, and purchased a beautiful gold necklace for you, couldn't he have?
Well, he did actually purchase a necklace for me. It was he told me he had been saving for it for quite a while, and which is probably why he was being a bit tight for the months before my birthday.
But all this, he got you a beautiful card, took you out to dinner, but you had thought that he'd forgotten all about your birthday. So all of these romantic gestures coming from a man who you didn't even think had remembered.